Hello, everybody. We are
Hello.
live once again. Yeah,
Yes.
welcome to another episode of Sir Links-a-Lot's live SEO support. If you guys got questions, you can just start dropping them in the chat or the comments wherever you're watching this, and we'll get to you.
Let's make it a good one. It's 2021's first live SEO support, so we're kicking it in with a bang.
All right. Sorry, just give me 1 sec while I kind of look through this. Make sure we've got everything set up right.
Who's out there with us right now?
We got a couple in there.
Say hello.
All right. Let's go ahead and get to the first question.
Is that Endgames?
I'm not sure. I can't remember who sent what.
Okay.
All right, so the first question for today is, a few years ago, citations were made for an affiliate site with a fake address. Years later, a fake GMB address was made, but it's different from the citations. The old one could not be used. Should I use the new GMB address?
So a fake GMB address was made, different from so two fake addresses, no big deal there.
Yeah,
All right.
but the first one, I guess, is no longer being used.
Yeah. Okay. So I might have a little bit different viewpoint on this. It's an affiliate site, not a local site. Quite honestly, I would say that it's not going to be a huge issue for you. However, if you ever decide to go after local service, which sometimes you might do with a big affiliate site, you'll ideally want to change that. But I want you to consider the fact that over time, a domain might pass through a bunch of different hands. The business might change, etc. And so it's not completely rare to see domains that have existed over time have old citations that don't get taken down, and then sometimes new ones get put up. So in this instance, I don't know whether you've got access to those old citations. Ideally, yeah, go in and change it to the new address. That way everything is on the same level, same address.
Yeah, best practice is to change everything, all the old citations to the new GMB. Then you'll know that you're not going to have any problems. It's not hard to change the address in a citation. You log in and copy and paste your address in. So, a little bit of work for, just saving yourself some headache down the line potentially.
Yeah. If you can't get access to those, just hypothetical, because I know a lot of people might see something, on a used domain they've bought or something like that. What I would say is remember that somewhere in there, Google's categorizing things by date crawled as well. So if new citations come in over the fact, newer citations, it's most likely going to transfer the credibility of the new address versus the old one.
All right, let's go ahead and jump into the next one. So the question is, how fast can I build links to a new website? I've gotten many offers to get links to a new website. Is it dangerous to build links too fast? The links would be from websites with actual traffic and not spammy PBNs. If you're asking this question, my answer would be to build pretty conservatively. You can build more aggressively and it can really pay off for you. It can work really well, but you're taking more of a risk. And, if you're doing that, you're going to want to make sure that you really are dotting your I's and crossing your T's, and you just really know the ins and outs of link building a little bit better. But yeah, as far as building links to a new site, kind of like the best practice or the most widely accepted kind of safe way of doing it is, the first month or two, you're just doing a bunch of natural stuff. What do you like to do in the beginning?
Well, I mean, I'm very aggressive.
Well,
with
for a new person.
yeah. Well, I mean, even still for a new person, I think you're gonna want to consider just diversify your backlink profile and keep things natural. It's always the same thing, right? And yeah, like Chris said, be conservative if you're not 100% sure what you're doing. It's always best to do less, make sure that you're going to have longevity in the SERPs versus trying to, obtain intense goals in a short amount of time only to find that, you get it for a short amount of time and then you crash.
Yeah, so for the first month or two, if you want to, you really don't really know what you're doing and you want to be safe, the first month or two, you could just build a bunch of things that we call pillow links. This includes a bunch of different types of links, but they're all, the very natural white hat stuff that you can really create for free in most cases, if you have the time to do so, or you can order them for cheap from whoever. It's stuff like citations, Web 2.0s, your big social profiles, stuff like that.
Right, and consider why, that's acceptable or natural. New business comes in, creates a website. They want their name out there. From a very just basic standpoint of marketing, you want your name out there. Citations, directories, anywhere where somebody's going to potentially find you. It's natural for you to be in there, social media, etc.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone starts a new business, it's much more natural for a new business to start going out and doing these things themselves before random websites start linking to them to promote to them, right? So yeah, just start grabbing all the supernatural stuff. Yeah, I mean, 1 month, 2 months. I guess I probably normally do 1 month if I'm being pretty conservative. And then you can slowly start working in the links that you were talking about, which are, you said links from websites with actual traffic and not spammy PBNs. So by that, you're really meaning guest posts or niche edits, right? These are real websites, real traffic. And, you can just start working them in a little bit slowly in the beginning since your RD, your referring domain count is pretty low. So you can just start sending them in slowly, maybe you just want to send 1 or 2 a week or something like that, or, it kind of depends on your budget as well and how powerful the links are that you're sending. And yeah, you're in the beginning, especially, you're primarily going to want to send them most likely to your homepage, with some real natural anchors, like branded anchors, URL, generic stuff like click here. Yeah, and then you're gonna slowly start building up your RD count with a bunch of natural homepage links, kind of like that. And then once your number starts getting to what, I guess maybe around 50 or so, you can really start to open things up and be aggressive a lot more safely, I guess.
And I think when he's saying 50, you're talking about in Ahrefs, right?
Yeah.
Showing up. Yeah. Just as a level of being able to analyze what's going on.
Yeah, I check everything in Ahrefs, but for a new site as well, though, Ahrefs might end up taking a really long time to kind of start seeing everything that is being sent to the site and really picking up all the links and stuff. So it might take months even for Ahrefs to really start showing some of these links. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. You can kind of stick to the time frame and kind of just chug along slowly and safely if you kind of know, the process.
Yeah. So, in regards to that, I've actually got a little tutorial I'm putting together on this that should help conceptualize this. If we're thinking from natural, so white hat type methods, again, let's go back to new business is made. It wants to be found, so it puts itself out there. Perhaps there's even, some press that goes along locally or nationally. It receives that, and then it gets some follow-along type of press. You consider the pillowing, you consider natural press in the form of things like a press release, but not exclusive to that, but other chatter that's going on inside of forums, inside of social media, and then, of course, through other domains talking about you. All of that will come together nicely, but yeah, if you're not 100% sure, and the reason I'm saying that it's hard to to kind of pay attention to just 50 links here and there. If you get a press release first month, I would say that's completely acceptable. However, that can range up to, 300, 500 links all inside of one press release. It's not going to kill your site if you overdo something like that, but it can. But if, I personally on first month, I usually always do a press release just to announce that the new business is started. It's natural. It makes sense. And then it makes sense to be able to shove in a little bit more of that high authority type of niche edit link. Even sometimes I'll even do PBN on first month dependent, but again, that would be more advanced, depending on where you're at.
Just to put something in there real quick, when you do your press release, as well as all your other pillow links, homepage, natural anchors, especially with the press release, don't mess around with money anchors. Use a branded anchor, most likely.
Yeah, to HB, just
to your homepage. You're just building naturalness up. You're laying the foundation for the bigger stuff that's actually going to really move you. Anything else?
Well, yeah. Just to go back to, I feel like it helps to add in real world examples. So, picture whether you've got an affiliate site or a local site. Let's start with the local site. You're Danny's Coffee Supply in Austin, Texas. What do you do to put yourself out there? How does Danny, like the person you can conceptualize, small business owner, put himself out there? How much press would be natural? I don't imagine, or if we go to a smaller metro, I don't imagine a metro with a population of 100,000 people is going to make sense to get, 10,000 links the first month. Versus a national campaign, consider, running TV ads, magazine ads, etc. All of this is still something that Google's algorithm cannot factor in. However, it's still possible that there's press going on in other places. But, that's going to help give you an idea of how to diversify your link profile. And if you jump into businesses similar to yours and kind of see where they started, it'll probably help get an idea of what kind of blueprint to start making for yourself.
Yeah, so just to recap, and you can be more aggressive than this, but if you want to do the kind of industry best practice, safe, tried and true kind of method, maybe you're working on a client site and you really don't want to, take the risk of messing it up. First month or two, build in a bunch of simple white hat stuff, natural anchors all to the homepage. And then you're going to slowly start working in your guest posts or your niche edits, mainly to the homepage still, natural anchors, till you get your RD count up, maybe 20, 30, 50 links or something like that. And then you can, if it's a local site, it really depends on what the kind of link profiles of your competition. Maybe your competition only have like 50 RD if it's a small local niche or something. But yeah, once you start getting up to maybe like 20 RD or something, if it's a smaller niche, you can start opening it up with your more aggressive anchor text and actually trying to push stuff a little bit while still keeping in mind that you want to be diversified and natural,
Something worth touching on, I think, that we didn't bring up is, try and make your budget stretch over a period of time.
Actually,
Is that another question?
Yeah, there's a follow-up. Cool. All right, so yeah, we had a follow-up question, and it is, speaking of link velocity, I had heard someone say that it doesn't matter how many links you build, but it then needs to be similarly consistent. As you've set the bar with Google as to how many links you're getting to the site on average. Your thoughts?
Yeah, that's a nice segue.
So yeah, this is exactly what Nick was starting to talk about, and we've actually got an article up on our website. I'll link in the description or whatever. And yeah, what you're saying is completely right. You want to be consistent over time. That being said, it's also natural for things to fluctuate. Right. It's not going to kill you if you, just as an example, you get 100 links one month and 30 links the next month. Google's not going to say like, oh my God, this is horrible. But I think you would agree the most important thing is just to keep them coming over time, right? And try to maintain some semblance of consistency.
Yeah. I think some of the mistakes I see when I have people ask about this comes with, I guess historically, and we're talking about 5-10 years ago, right, in SEO, when you could kind of spam backlink something and then it would resonate over time because nobody else was doing the same techniques. Things aren't like that anymore. Google's caught on to what looks natural, what doesn't. So whereas I guess I'll give you some insight into like how I like to do things with a new site. I do like to build my backlink profile up very quickly with natural things, and then consistency over the next, so first 2 months usually I'm pretty aggressive. Then the following months is more of like a maintenance type link building. It's always diversified. Usually I go higher in power there. You know, not going to be doing pillowing, things like that, but higher quality stuff that keeps you resonating in the SERPs. If you go from high press all the way down to zilch, it's going to resonate as something that went viral, caught on, and then just people lost interest in it. And so you're not going to resonate the same way as if you keep things going on over time. If you're newer, best practice would be, you know, keep things pretty stable over time. And especially if you're like in local, you know, we're talking about just a handful of links a month are going to go a long way, you know, depending on your metro.
Yeah, and you'll, you know, we get a lot of people coming to us actually with, you know, asking the same kind of things. And basically, you know, if you're working with a client, you might have to kind of explain to them that, you know, they don't want to front load their budget. You know, you don't want to just blow all your budget right away and then be left with basically like no gas left in your tank, right? Yeah. You need to be able to play the full game. You have to, you know, show Google that your business is, you know, continuing its operations, continuing to grow, it's continuing to generate buzz. You know, it's relevant, it's fresh, you know. Yeah, so consistency is good.
Your websites, each project you take on needs to be considered to be a actual business. So you budget for that business. You're typically not going to be profitable within the first couple months, few months, even up to a year. So, you know, if you don't have a lot of experience, plan for the long haul and, you know, keep that down so that you can spread it out over time, because there's nothing worse than throwing what I see most people doing, which is essentially a Hail Mary. I'm going after this SERP, got this much money, going to blow it all in 4 months. And, you know, if things don't pan out, and there's a lot of variables that can change very quickly in this game, you might be left empty-handed. So, you know, take each project seriously and budget it the same way you would any business.
All right. Yes. What's that?
Yeah, go ahead. I was just saying there's new questions too.
Is there new questions in the chat?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll switch to those after, though. We can get these done. We get.
Yeah, so we're kind of, some people send questions to me before, and some are happening in the chat in a couple different places, so we'll get to everything. One sec. Where am I? Here we go. All right, so question was, thanks, I'm asking because of a negative SEO attacks and wonder how to improve trust. So the question is, how do you improve trust when you're experiencing a negative SEO attack?
During the negative SEO attack?
So yeah, I guess first, you know, before we jump into stuff, I think people, a lot of the time, they jump to thinking that a negative SEO attack is the cause of their problems.
Yeah.
You know, it's very, very normal for websites to start generating these kind of spammy links. You don't know where they're coming from. They look like crap. They look kind of dangerous even. And it's just very normal for this to happen to sites. And so, you know, Google has taken this into account. Google knows what's up to an extent, and they, you know, they try to filter this kind of noise out. So, you know, Google's actually working in your favor on this in a way. I'm not saying that negative SEO attacks can't cause harm. They can. But what's important before you start trying to correct for it is to make sure that that's what your problem is. And even, you know, it sounds simple to do, but it's really not hard to pinpoint that. But let's just go ahead. We say that you've determined that, you know, you're having someone's attacking you with negative SEO and you want to improve your trust. So first of all, let's say that you're having a negative SEO attack and your rankings are actually dropping, right? Usually, I don't like to take any kind of action unless I think I'm experiencing some kind of negative side effects, right?
Yeah, yeah. If hypothetical, and like Chris said, being negative SEO'd is pretty rare. I would say in most cases that people bring it up to me that they think it's happening to them. It's just not.
But yeah, let's say there is some kind of weird stuff with links coming in, and let's say that your rankings are dropping.
Yeah.
At this point,
I mean, for sure dropping, and then you for sure traced it back to it being negative SEO. First thing you're going to want to do, or first thing I do, might be a little bit different than somebody else, is I'm going to prod by sending higher authority values in the form of backlinks to my homepage. I'm going to try and get it to resonate positively in the SERPs. So in Ahrefs, I'm looking for that positive inflection back up. If I can't get that to happen, then my next recourse of action will be to disavow those spammy links. If it's a continuous negative attack, then you'll want to update a new disavow file every month, week, however long, depending on the aggression from this attack. And if it's just a one-off, go ahead, do that. Never stop keeping high value backlinks going to your site, same as we talked about during longevity of your SEO campaign.
yeah, you'll just kind of
keep them going.
You'll
right.
kind of switch to, homepage natural anchors.
Right.
Branded anchors, URL anchors, generic anchors like click here.
Yeah.
Depending on the attack itself, if it's a high amount of links, you might also want to send maybe even some lower authority stuff just because of price point, where you can, try to balance your anchor profile back out. Let's say they're sending a bunch of really spammy anchors at you. So you might want to send a higher number of links, with natural anchors to kind of try to balance things out a bit. But in general, if you just stick to the more trustworthy stuff, the higher authority stuff, natural anchors to your homepage, that would be how you kind of improved your trust, as far as that goes.
Yeah. Never fall down. You got to get in there. If you're being attacked, you roll with the punches and then keep swinging. So backlinks keep going, your campaign keeps going, business as usual, content keeps going up, and the negative SEO is treated as something that's coming in that you've got to counteract while everything is going normal.
Okay, so here's this is a follow-up to the same question from the same person. As many are 301 toxic links obviously used for negative SEO. I disavowed around 700 links. How many links are in your backlink profile total? Do you know how many referring domains you have? Anyway, yeah, I mean, if they're sending 700 links at you, might be a good idea. It's probably a good idea to disavow. But yeah, like I said, I usually save the disavow unless I'm really sure it's the negative SEO that's causing my ranking problems, and I kind of see it as more of like a last resort. I like to stick to what we were talking about first with the link building as a way to kind of correct it on its own, before I go in and start disavowing stuff. All right, so I think we're actually going to look at the site for this person. We'll not be able to show it on the stream. Maybe I'll take some screenshots of it. So yeah, we're going to actually pull up your site right here.
In Ahrefs.
Just making sure no one can see anything. Oh. Okay, so yeah.
Go ahead and show that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and show this to the group. Sorry, I need to set like keys up so I can switch between stuff really easily.
Is this endgames?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, you can see right here, guys, that his site is definitely experiencing a little bit of a problem. And by a little bit, I mean, it looks like he lost everything.
Though I will say that if you did your disavow, it looks like you're getting positive inflection now, which is good, even though it looks kind of like a plateau. But
yeah, so I think you had mentioned to me before that you thought it had something to do with the algo update. And it is true. So like you know, you were experiencing your first drop. It started like in November. And then right around the algo update, you got hit hard again. And even like steeper decline happened after that. So if you guys can see on the screen, you know, you first started dropping, this was like November right here. And this was the December algo update right here. So it had like another, it looked like it was kind of starting to plateau out from his loss, and then it got hit harder again.
Can we see the backlinks or anchors?
Yeah. So we're going to go in Ahrefs. We're going to look at your anchors.
Sort by referring domain.
Yeah. So.
Oh, did you disavow an Ahrefs as well by chance in game?
Yeah, if it's all going to be messed up in Ahrefs.
Yeah.
I think if you disavow in Ahrefs, it's like if you have it saved as a project, right? So like us looking at it, we wouldn't be able to, we wouldn't see the disavow in Ahrefs.
Check out backlinks then. Oh, okay. Yeah, tons of coupon stuff. Lots of coupon stuff, I'm guessing.
Yeah, are the coupon code links yours, or is this some of the spammy stuff you're talking about?
He did say 301s if you go up.
Yeah, Endgame, if you're there, are you doing the coupon links, or is that from the negative SEO?
If it's not from the negative SEO, you might want to consider changing that as well.
Yeah, coupons are no bueno, guys. Unless you're in the coupon niche. I wouldn't really mess with them too much.
Basically, what we're looking at is that all these backlinks are from coupon websites, which is not going to look great. Go. I don't know about redirect chain, but just redirect. 2 down, up. And as far as the 301s, I'm guessing a lot of the...
Sorry, were you looking at that?
Yeah. I mean, they all look like they would be in line, but they're very weak. It could be seen as you're doing sneaky redirects, since none of these look like they had any history. So you've got niche-related 301s, but these domains don't look like old businesses that had resonance in the SERPs. I'm seeing DR of 0 across 3 out of 7 of them, and then a DR of 1, a not available, a 12, and then a Zurl.co, which I think is just like a, I'm not sure what it is, but it's not, it's from an inner page. No, well, we're not going to be able to see. But it's a redirect as well. So in my opinion, and we've got a article on sneaky redirects as well, Google penalizes people who are obviously using 301s in a fashion to just gain inflection in the SERPs, and you do get penalized for it.
Yeah, we actually saw where we were looking at a site pretty recently that had lost pretty much all of its traffic as well with this recent update. And we think at least part of the problem could be how they were doing their redirects. You know,
they had multiple redirects to category pages, which did used to work even up until like a year ago as a really viable option. I think it's kind of been sniped out. I've got a couple domains that are operating with maybe 1 or 2 redirects done that way, but nothing in the form of extremely aggressive. So if you're just buying like 5, 6 domains and thinking you can just redirect them at this new domain, it doesn't quite work that way. You've got to make that look natural as well. And blending and making 301s appear natural in the SERPs is, its kind of own form of thought. And it doesn't work out, it doesn't always work out the way you think it's going to.
Yeah, so I'm just kind of taking a little look at your site as well, see what's going on.
Looks nice.
It's CBD niche, by the way, if anyone's wondering what niche this is.
I mean, yeah. I'd say OnPage looks all right.
Yeah, everything I'm seeing on the site that I've checked out so far, it looks like you're paying attention to your EAT, which is what a lot of people were talking about with this algo update. Your on page does not look like over optimized or something. I think it looks pretty good.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a backlinks issue here.
So, Endgame, are you saying that you did not do these 301s
Right.
from the other CBD sites?
Yeah, and they're going to inner pages, like you said. Yeah, those aren't going to do you any favors, but you should be able to disavow just any 301. You can disavow the actual domain. So as soon as you see it, if you didn't do it, I guess go ahead and do yourself a disavow. CBD is a very competitive niche, so it wouldn't surprise me if you were getting a negative campaign against you.
I feel like we're not seeing the full picture though, because if these DRs are so low, it means that they won't have that many backlinks, right?
Sneaky redirects.
Yeah. So you think this is the cause of it, just looking at it?
I think it's this in conjunction with that basically pure coupon backlink profile. Anchors look natural. If we're going through anchors, which again is where I like to start, I would say nothing looks too out of the ordinary. But then if we go to the backlinks portion, we'll see tons of coupon stuff. Let's do just by one domain. One link per domain. Yeah, and I mean, it's all promo codes, coupons, all of them going to inner pages as well, which I guess for coupons can be fine because you're going to that special, right? But, again, this has to do with link diversity. If you're not diversifying very well at all and you've got stuff like this continually coming in, at some point in time, you're going to get popped for it. So, you might need to do disavow with the 301s, but this would still be, if you were to give me this website and say, all right, where do you start? I would start by prodding with higher authority values, maybe even like barrage niche edits links just to change things up, get what looks like natural press going on in there, maybe even something like a press release so that I could do a little bit extra, and then a lot of high authority guest posts, niche edits, and things like that. We're talking about natural stuff, right? But that's where I would go, and then I would see what kind of inflection I get in Ahrefs before I go in and disavow basically what looks like my my whole link profile.
Yeah. There's a lot of coupons, and there's a lot of the other stuff that's not coupons, there's a lot of like just pretty like not relevant stuff mixed in here as well. There's relevant links in here as well, though. Yeah, there's so much coupon stuff. This is crazy.
All right, let's move on to the next question because it's just going to be.
All right. Yeah, those are some places you can start looking. Definitely not something you like to see. It does happen, though.
Yeah. Let's get some.
All right. Yeah, Ryan, have you had any luck trying to get things turned around, or are things pretty much still where we left them last time I talked to you? So he says, what is sneaky is they use relevant domains for 301ing. Yeah.
It's just a lot of them. They're not historically businesses, right? If they've got no backlink profile, it means it's just a domain that you're trying to get URL relevance pointed at like an inner page. And so you've got 7 of those with no history going to inner pages. It looks like you're trying to basically stuff your homepage URL with, cannabis related terms.
All right, so here's kind of a big one I talked about you with a little bit earlier today. I'll just put this part up, I guess. So he says, I'm having a bit of a crisis with on-page SEO, it seems. I guess I've messed it up and not able to rank. My site's menu structure is something like this. I'm not going to be able to put the whole menu structure for you guys to see. But basically what he's doing is he's got a local website and he's got kind of like maybe about 9 different services, and the services fall into 3 different categories. So he's got SEO, and he's got like 3 services under his SEO category. Then he's got social media, 3 services under there, and then website, and he's got 3 services under there. So let's go back to this. So the first question coming off of that is it possible for me to rank for the main services, namely web design in Mumbai, SEO services in Mumbai, and digital marketing company in Mumbai? So he's asking basically, with this local website, will he be able to rank for these kind of different services that are kind of somewhat connected?
Hypothetical, I would say yes.
Yeah, so whenever you're asking a question like this, the best thing to do is to look at Google. So, you would actually type in your keywords. So you could type in, like web design in Mumbai, SEO services in Mumbai, and we can actually go ahead and do that real quick. And you're going to want to check to see if you see any websites that are able to actually pull that off. Do you see any of the same sites ranking on the first page for either of those SERPs? So let's see, web design in Mumbai, SEO services in Mumbai. I think I'd actually pulled this up earlier, so I wanted to find an example of it. But yeah, so I was looking earlier and I noticed that, where's the web design company? Actually, let me... Sorry, I was actually looking in Austin. I found an example of it real quick. So you can see, so the first one keyword I searched for is web design in Austin, and then I had pulled up SEO services in Austin. So web design in Austin, I noticed this guy right here, Digitech, and you see he's also ranking #1 in organic. So Digitech web design Austin. And then you can see in SEO Services Austin, he's also ranking down here. I believe he's like number 7 or 8 for SEO Services in Austin. And what that shows us is that, you know, it's possible. But then you actually kind of want to look at what they're doing. So you can see on the SEO Services in Austin, he's actually ranking on this inner page URL right here, Austin SEO Company. And then on the web design keyword, he's actually just ranking in for his homepage. And he's actually got the keyword in his homepage like this. This stuff can get a little bit complicated because there's a lot of different ways you can go about it. The short answer to your question is yes, it's possible to rank. A little bit of a longer answer would be it might depend on your resources. So, you know, it might actually end up being cheaper for you to create 2 different websites, one, you know, each one more targeted for that sector of your business. So like one website based around web design, one website based around SEO.
I would actually disagree with that. In this case, if we're talking about digital marketing services, I would keep them all under the same umbrella.
Well, so let's look at this. Here's web design in Austin, right? So let's just look at the websites that are showing up. This is this one's an aggregator. This one, austinwebbandesign.com, gliddesign.com. Here you have Upcity, atxwebdesigns.com, another aggregator. This is a huge company. This also looks like
just branded.
Yeah, it looks like maybe they're ranking on an inner page. And then you have another one, website design, austintexas.com. So what you can see from looking at the first page for this web design one is that a lot of these websites are specifically going after web design, and they'll have other services as a afterthought kind of, or just maybe they're like number 2 in line for what they want to go for. And if you look at SEO Services, let's see what's going on over here. Here's the Thrive Agency again. This is a massive company. Tastyplacement.com looks like they're targeting just SEO really on their homepage.
Well, but if we go in and check the services pages for all these, and then we could also compound it and put them all into Ahrefs and see, you know, how much is resonating, because we're talking about like these are local agencies going after these terms. Some of them might do some, you know, multiple services, but even like that one, the last one, SEO Services, what do they have as their list of services?
Which one?
This one, JS Interactive. And so there's like just what's the services menu say? So web design, digital marketing, etc., content marketing. Regardless, right? Your website is going to have to be the umbrella hub. So whether it's, you know, some kind of SEO or design oriented website, and then everything that's going to be a subcategory under that. And your services pages are, you know, going to add to the content of what your website is about, what your business is about, as well as, you know, blog can act as support pages to all these individual things. What Chris said is very right about budgeting. You want to make sure that you're not trying to go after all these things because you are eating with your eyes. You want to target the one that you know you can go after, and you want to focus in on that one. So if I was to start out and I'm going after web design in Mumbai, because you said that's namely what you want, or well, let's just say that's the one you're going after, then I would focus on that for starters. So services pages can be built out and just sit there. You can build 5 relatable service pages if you want, but I would try and keep them more in line with web design. And then once you get resonance in the SERPs, roll that money and that business into targeting a different line of business. So we've got your main hub, which is the main URL that you're building a business off of. And then what do you guys do? What do you focus on? Google's looking for whoever's the most targeted. That's why you're going to see massive sites like Tasty Placement, and then the other one, whatever, show up for a lot of SERPs, but they're not always number 1, right? There's other people beating them out, maybe with sites that aren't quite as big. Why? Because they're more niched focus. So always remember, you know, niche focus versus broad focus. I would say if you're a smaller website with a smaller budget, niche down and you're going to get where you want to be a lot quicker.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it's going to depend on your budget, you know. Depending on your budget, it just might be easier to rank a more niche down site. But, you know, the best answer to this stuff, like I mentioned before, I like to look at the SERP. I like to see what other people are doing and to see what's working. And I like to base my stuff off of that. But the short answer is yes, you can rank all the stuff. It just might end up being a pretty like costly endeavor if you're actually trying to rank all this stuff on, you know, first page or whatever. But you know, you could also prioritize whatever you think is your most important sector of your business and rank for that, and then, you know, you can funnel them towards your other services as kind of like upsales of your initial offering or whatever it is that you've your priority is.
Right.
Anything else to add to that?
No, I think that's good.
All right, I've got some more follow-ups to this one.
Sure. It's a heap of a question.
Oops, Sarah, one sec. All right, so if it's not possible to rank for multiple services, so if, you know, you could, the problem you want to stay away from is that you don't want to like cannibalize things, right? So with your homepage, you
Well,
could,
first tell them the question.
okay, so well, I'm kind of trying to work through it a little bit at a time.
Basically, it seems like he's mismatched, or somebody's told him that the title he's currently using, social media marketing company, is not going to help him rank for his main target, which is web design company in Mumbai, if I'm getting that right. Because now he's worried that it'll cause confusion. Well, consider it like this. Main point of resonance with what Google thinks your website is about has to do with your URL. So whether that's your homepage and what it says, or the slug to the inner page. Secondary to that, it's going to read the title as what is this about. So if your goal set is to get your homepage to rank for web design company, but you're going for social media marketing company as your title, then you're mismatched on what your goal set is. If your goal set is web design company in Mumbai, then make the title relevant to that. You can go ahead and change it now, but make sure that you're sticking to your goal as far as what you want to do. Now, I say that because you want your homepage, this is what you're asking, if I understand correctly, to resonate for that. And so when you want to go after social media marketing company, that's time to build a services page off of the main hub that you're building. So your main point of business, again, is web design company in Mumbai, and then service page, social media marketing company in Mumbai.
Yeah, so like Nick said, you know, you want to think about how it all kind of like filters down in an order, right? So your main your main thing, your top level category would actually be probably like internet marketing, right? And so you know, your homepage could have stuff to do with just kind of more basic stuff like internet marketing, or, you know, you might throw some keywords in like SEO and web design in a little bit, but you're trying to make sure that you don't accidentally optimize the homepage too much for those terms. So you're not really using exact keywords in places like the you know, the titles or the big headings or whatever, or, you know, not having it too many times in the text.
Let's do a quick tutorial. Pull up like a Word file, and then, so based off web design company in Mumbai, let's go ahead and, you know, let's say that's what we're targeting with our homepage. So let's say the homepage is branded. So we'll say Mumbai Design is the brand.
So I don't use this too much, right? I don't know if they're gonna be able to see that. But I'll change the font size in here. Hopefully you guys can see that. All right, so what were we saying?
So let's imagine your business name is Mumbai Design. You bought MumbaiDesign.com, so that's your brand. Then that's what we're targeting, right? So the title, which is going to have multiple service pages based in digital marketing. So we've talked about social media, SEO, etc. Well, let's think of something that's going to be broad that we can title the homepage. So Mumbai's leading web design company, something along those lines, or web development company, even if you're going to house SEO, etc. underneath it. The point is to get Google's crawler to read this, and we're trying not to spam everything. So we wouldn't do a title that's going to be Mumbai Design, limited or something like that. We can use synonyms or something along those lines to kind of naturally stuff information into the slug and then title, and then as we go down, the H2s and possibly H3s of what we're doing. So
yeah, so you see we've got kind of a title here that you're kind of like hitting some related keywords, but you're not really going after anything.
Right.
There's no exact keyword in here. You're kind of just building relevance around the kind of the parent category.
And then that leaves plenty of room for the umbrella to open up and niche down within that.
And then, when you come down and you've got your web design category, then, the title for this one, you're gonna really go after your you're gonna really start going after like your exact match keywords.
Or even, if you've got the word design in there, throw designer, designers, Mumbai web designers, designers in Mumbai. But kind of, shift the word as much as you can. You want to try and kind of stuff variations of what you're saying inside of here without being too obvious, because Google will pick up if you're just doing Mumbai web design, Mumbai web design, Mumbai web design.
Yeah, so you want to kind of mix it up a bit, get some other stuff in there, site designers, but yeah, and then to get more ideas for this stuff, just look at the SERP, see what other people are doing. You'll get a lot of different variations for stuff and different ways that you can kind of word things. But yeah, so you're just more general up at the top, and then as you work your way down, you're getting more specific. Making sure that you don't accidentally optimize something else for a different page that you're trying to rank.
Just leave that for.
And last question dealing with this. So it says, I'm told to also remove the internet marketing company and Mumbai page is very similar to the digital marketing company page. Should I remove that service page? Just looking at it, looks like that's probably going to cause some overlap. Internet marketing, digital marketing, they're very similar. But like I said before, when you're unsure about this stuff, go look at the SERP. Type them both in, see if the pages are ranking for both. Right.
And even in Surfer SEO, using their keyword tool, which I really like, it'll give you percentages of overlap for different SERPs. So if you put internet marketing company in Mumbai into Surfer's keyword platform, it's going to give you a bunch of overlapped SERPs and how much percentage.
Yeah, it'll tell you what percentage of the sites that are ranking for this keyword are also ranking for that keyword. Or yeah, you could just go into Ahrefs and type up, get the organic keywords for the particular URL and just see what all these other pages are ranking for. All right. Where are we now?
Top of Discord, I think.
Looks like we've probably got, about 10 or 15 minutes left?
Yeah.
Ryan says, no changes as of yet. Redirects all remove. Still seeing a few pages in the top 10, but mostly destroyed so far.
Which site was that?
This was Ryan's site that we had looked at last week. He had lost a bunch of rankings with the 301s to the category pages.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah.
Yeah, it can take some time. You want to make sure that you're doing like we had talked about before, and to you know, be building natural links to go along with removing those 301s.
Yeah, I think a very obvious sign of manipulation comes when if you see somebody who's had a SEO tactic work for them real well, like 301s to category pages, and then all of a sudden it gets sniped. There's this issue where the SEO will clam up, and it's like the whole campaign deteriorates and there's nothing going on. We want to show Google that there's always forward momentum going on. This asset is never, you know, a lost cause. So it's keep backlinks going, keep content going up, and then remedy the situations where an error has occurred and it's hurt you in the SERPs. Even though that's happened, the only way to get back up is to get back on the horse and ride, so to speak. So keep your campaign going and clean.
Yeehaw. Another follow-up question to the site structure question. Says, all right, so my homepage shouldn't be optimized for web design company and the text as well, right? Just a vague idea should suffice. So it's going to be impossible to not write web design, you know, on your homepage, as that's going to be one of your main categories, right? You just want to make sure that you're not optimizing the page for it. And by optimizing the page for it, I mean, you know, so you're not having your keywords in like the most important spots. The most important spots. So you don't want to have your exact keywords like in your like page title. Can't do the inner page URL. You know, like your H1, your H2s, your H3s. And you don't want to be like hammering the exact match in the actual just like paragraph text, right? You know, you'll probably still have it on your homepage somewhere, but having it once or twice on your homepage or whatever is not the same as really targeting your homepage and really optimizing your homepage for those keywords. Anything to add to that?
No, that sounds right.
Cool.
Let's check out who wrote up top.
Where?
There's a couple questions that came in when we started. So
Oh.
Nomans and Travis's.
So we answered that one.
Oh, okay. Ooh, okay. There's Seymour. Oh, sorry.
All right. So what is the best way to price your SEO services? I've been charging $500 a month for SEO, but would like to get that price up to a bit over $1,000 a month. How can you structure it so a business can justify a 1K a month expense and not leave after 3 months when you're still getting the site to rank?
Shit, Travis, I don't know how you're charging $500 a month really at this point.
Yeah,
you know, that's really low in my opinion for what I'm guessing is full SEO services. What you've got to take into account when you're designing something like this has to do with your cost up front and what it's going to cost you in the form of time and actual money and effort to help a business. So you can help at $500 a month, but you're going to be pretty limited. So I guess it depends on a few variables. The targets you're going after and what their budgets could potentially be. When I worked for a big corporation that did SEO and the entire format was based on sales, a lot of the techniques we would use had to do with finding a vertical that you identify with and then learning everything about that variable or that vertical. So, you know, let's talk about real estate agents or arborists. They all have their own lingo. Mechanics have their own lingo. You want to know how to talk to them in the form of how much they can make based on what you can do for them. Right? So even if it takes the same amount of money and effort for you to rank a bunch of different types of local sites, find the vertical that's right for you, learn their lingo. So in real estate, you'd be able to talk about, you know, broker percentages versus real estate agent percentages. You'd be able to build a model based off of, let's say a house costs $250,000 in your metro, and you make this commission as the broker's agent. Etc. Right? And I can't even remember a lot of these because it's been years since I worked there, but The point was to put yourself on a level where you know how much business they do, what they can make off of one client, and then you're using that to justify what your monthly cost is.
Yeah, so you might not have access to this information, and the company might not either, depending on how well they actually have their stuff together.
Well, you're going to be able to find industry averages, right?
Yeah. So you take the average of, the average sale for their product. Then you're going to want to look at stuff like the average conversion rate of a website. So you're taking in like how much traffic or expected traffic they would get right now, and then getting them to rank in top positions. And so you're saying, if I got you this much more traffic, that would mean this many more conversions. That would mean this much more money a month.
Right.
Right.
So take like keywords everywhere. So you're a real estate agent in Austin, Texas, which mind you, don't go after that SERP, fucking nightmare. But where you've got this many searches based on actual search volume, so you've got the actual data. People love to see that. And if I get you in the top 3 positions, all of this has data associated with it. So we know that, number 1 gets like almost 40% of all search traffic to that SERP. So, don't even start there. Imagine if I get you even in the top 3. So let's be very conservative. So you say top 3, you say based on this many monthly searches. Just imagine if I can get you just one client, what that's going to do for your business. And so never mind one client, I'm just saying one client to be extremely conservative. But most likely, if you sign on with me and I can help you out, you're going to be doing really well no matter how much you spend with me. And the more you spend with me, the better it's going to pay out for you. This also depends on how your business model is set up and how you sell SEO. Whether you're trying to sell keywords, which I would not advise, or whether you're just, designing long-term promotion and inflection in the SERPs for these people. Very different business models, both SEO though. But, speak their language and speak data and speak money. And let's say, because real estate isn't a very easy one to say, you just sell one, right? But let's say it's something with lower ROI. You're going to want to figure out around how many they'll need in order to pay back and then profit off of what they'd be spending with you a month. And you can pretty easily tell whether you're going to be able to do that for a client by doing proper keyword research and then measuring proper data and then charging effectively.
Yeah, so, it's going to take a bit of just showing them like data, a bit of what they could, basically you show them what they're missing out on, right? You show them what they're missing out on, and then you justify your cost through what it would convert to in money for them, which is what they want. They want more money. So it just comes down to like how you're really doing your entire sales pitch. Mm-hmm. And yeah, $500 a month for SEO. I'm not sure what niche that would be in. Your problem might also be a niche problem. So for example, someone who's doing like auto detailing or something, they might not be able to afford as much as say like a dentist or whatever. So it might just be an issue of like who you're actually going after.
And to tie on a little bit more, because the last part of this question has to do how can you structure it so a business can justify $1,000 a month in expense and not leave after 3 months when you're still getting the site to rank. Well, also in your sales pitch, you need to be honest. Be honest. You're not going to rank immediately. This is a long-term goal set that takes a little bit of time to ramp up. This is not a simple campaign.
You should be brutally honest with them. Anyone who's promising to, take $1,000 a month and rank them in the first 3 months is just blowing smoke up their ass in most cases.
Yeah, unless it's like a developed site or something.
It's possible, but in most cases, SEO moves pretty slow, So, you've got one of the biggest problems in SEO is you've got these people running around, they're over promising and they're just playing the numbers game, right? So they're not keeping any of their clients. All their clients are firing them. They're not sticking with them. But hey, they might get 3 months of business because they're offering lower prices than anyone else, because customers just see that price amount and think it's gonna.
Yeah, let's consider that too. It's like you're taking $500 a month for a local business. You're spending 3-4 months with them and then they're leaving because they didn't get what they were hoping they'd get. Well, if you take a higher amount of money from, a business that can afford it and kind of understands what you're doing, you're going to be able to utilize that budget and give them more positive inflection over time than, $500 a month. I can't really think of too many things where that's going to stretch real far unless you already own a bunch of the networks that you're using. I would say even $1,000 a month probably isn't where you want to start. I would say 1,500 minimum, yeah. So that you can actually profit yourself and then, make sure that you've got enough budget to also tackle their campaign.
Yeah, because when you're looking at $500 a month, let's say you're just an average person, you don't have your own link networks, let's say you don't have your own link building team.
Maybe you're writing content.
You could be doing all the outreach yourself if you're not really making that much money. Maybe you've got time on your hands. But let's just say you're buying the links. $500 a month, that could be 1 to 2 good links. That's really nothing. That's really not much at all.
Yeah, it might help with like a old website that you want to sustain in the SERPs for a small local type of company, but as far as building something ground up, there's probably going to be too slow a movement. Even if you're showing them Ahrefs graphs and stuff like that, if it doesn't convert, the average business owner is not going to say, wow, that's really a neat link graph. They don't understand that kind of stuff. You've got to speak to them in terms they understand. That's always going to be money. So, the idea should be to try and get them to a positive ROI within 6 to 8 months.
And just one more thing about the 500. If you've got clients and you're doing them all for $500 a month, because you're doing them for $500 a month, like I was saying before with buying links, that means that you do not have the money to outsource anything, right? It means that you don't really have the money to be paying to basically take the work off of your shoulders. Right. So that means for $500 a month, let's say you have 5 or 10 clients at $500 a month, that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
And that's work that you're going to have to do yourself if you want to see any profit. So by taking a bunch of clients, or even if just a few clients at $500 a month, you're putting a ton of work on your shoulders, and you're basically making sure that you're never going to be able to dig yourself out of this hole that you're in, because you've just got a ton of work piled on you all the time, right?
Yeah.
You don't have any budget to play with to where you can say, my time is better spent here, and so I'll pass this part of the I'll pass the link building budget off to this provider or whatever, so you can save your time on that. It's just not possible with a small budget. So another thing to think about would just be just not going after these small budget clients at all. It just could be a pretty detrimental thing to have.
Everyone I know, when I first started SEO, we would take $500 a month clients, but as soon as you're able to get out of that, it's like you remember it as a nightmare. There's a lot of stuff like selling PBN links at $5 a pop too is like a ancient nightmare for me. But you do what you got to do to get in there and win.
For sure.
Travis, I think I'm going to go ahead and put it on my list of to-dos to create a sort of pitch deck list for SEOs on how to attack certain verticals and how to create recipes that show data and profitability, because I think that would be useful. And I did it for a lot of years.
For sure.
That I've honestly kind of just forgotten that I don't do local anymore.
Yeah, we've been kind of neglecting local for a while now, and just all the hypes around affiliate. All the cool kids do affiliate. Not saying local is bad. It's probably
baby, come on.
It's probably easier to make money. It's a lot easier to make money in local, I think, actually. But,
I would agree. Yeah.
But then you have to deal with clients that only want to pay $500 a month.
Yeah.
So Travis says, good advice. I try to focus on service-based businesses, but guess I need to niche it down even further.
No, I mean, service-based is, again, this company that I worked for would only go after service-based, but we would, and I'm talking about over 500 agents, sales agents, would target specific verticals. So my forte was real estate agents because I learned the lingo. We were doing 1 to 2 call close. So I'm talking about extreme aggressive hard sale. You had to know the lingo, you had to be sharp, and you had to practice it, right? So if you get into one vertical where you really understand it and you can jump 2 and 2, especially if you're doing phone sales, you're going to be able to keep this person's attention because they're like, hey, they're not just calling me like some dope SEO that only knows general SEO. This guy's in my vertical. And maybe you know how to do it for 5, 6 different verticals. It all sounds the same the more you rehearse it. So yeah, maybe we do some future sales lessons or something too.
But yeah, niching down is always a good idea. Like Nick's been saying, just like when you're ranking something, it's easier to rank something when you're niche down. You're also easier to like close local clients when you're more niche down. Like you said, you know the lingo. And not only do you know the lingo, but you know the process of actually ranking a site like that. You know where to get the links from, what the major links are that they need to have, maybe they don't have their BBB, whatever. You know the ins and outs of the niche more. You're more efficient at actually doing the work itself. You're more confident, and yeah, you're able to show your expertise, and they're able to latch on to something that you're saying when you're talking to them that really will give them a better chance of actually closing with you, right?
Yeah.
So niching down, always good. I think we might be out of time. Let me make sure there's no more questions.
A straggler.
I've been checking the questions over here. Ooh.
Oh.
Whoops. Sorry, Yanev. Let's just go ahead and answer these real
That's
quick.
okay. Yeah, we can do them.
So we got 3 more questions from Yanev. Sorry, bro, we didn't see you over here asking anything.
He was asking on YouTube, so
these will be our last ones we answer. What's classed as a good backlink profile for a PBN domain? I'll hand that over to our resident PBN.
Oh, what? Oh, for PBN, sure. I would go to maybe our what is a quality backlink tutorial that Chris made and go through that. But basically, it's going to be the same as what makes a good backlink profile for any domain. More natural, higher authority values. So, if something got press from high-end editorials or even just good natural-looking websites, there's good content surrounding your anchors. It just looked like a natural business. That's what makes the best PBN. When I go in and try and find a PBN, I'm just looking for something that used to be a business, essentially. So if I can go in, I can see I put it in Ahrefs. I look at the URL, I look at the anchors. They all seem natural as far as progression of branded, naked, etc. And then I go into the backlinks, and it's for reputable directories, backlinks from natural press, etc. If it's a good diversified link profile, then I'm going to go ahead and buy it. Now, mind you, PBNs can be different as well, because if you're in like a local niche and you're really trying to focus down and maybe the metro's not huge, it's hard to find PBNs for small metros. But even small metro PBNs, if you can find them with niche relevant or metro geographic relevant backlinks, even if that's just in the form of like a handful of directories and then maybe like 2 or 3 local sites like news sites or something along those lines, or maybe like a Good Morning Austin or Good Morning Round Rock or whatever, what have you. Those are actually going to push a lot of geographic relevance. And so sometimes something that doesn't have a huge backlink profile, but it's very niche and properly categorized for what you're trying to target, can be a very valuable PBN to you. You know, you get 5 or 6 of those at the right target. It's geographic relevance that is very hard to emulate and very hard to find. So it is going to push you. So again, just natural.
Yeah, so I like the natural stuff. I like the relevant links. I like, everything to look nice and pretty. And I think that's what most people go after with, or a lot of people go after with PBN domains. But you've actually dabbled into the kind of the spammier side of things sometimes as well.
Yeah.
Stuff that I question, and I'm like, I asked Nick, are you sure about this? Or like, so
that's
maybe
not
you can talk about that a little bit.
That's not a good backlink profile, right? So it might be good because you kind of know how to use it, but it's essentially using a spam tactic. So you can take PBNs or old domains that have been really spammed out but still resonate in the SERPs, and even though you might not be able to build anything worthwhile out of that domain, you can use it to push a lot of power. But I would say that's not a good link profile. But yeah, sometimes a really, really spammy domain is a nice thing to experiment with as far as PBN building goes. But I would say that's advanced methodology. It's its own kind of science, and it's not an exact science. So sometimes you try it out and it's great, and sometimes you try it out and it isn't so great.
Yeah, for the most part though, yeah, like Nick said, you just want to look for things looking kind of natural. No, you don't want them to look clearly manipulated, like they were clearly over manipulated by an SEO. Look for some relevant links. It doesn't have to be a ton. A domain that only has 20 or 30 backlinks, but they're really nice links that are you're in your niche, and they're just good links, can do a lot of work for you, right?
And something else to touch on, PBN is the focus is the homepage pushing power. So if you can, majority of pages going to the homepage is going to help that power a whole lot more. Now you can do other stuff like 301, all 404s to homepage. You don't want to get too aggressive with that, as it can pop you. But overall, when you're looking for an ideal PBN, majority of links to the homepage. Not to say you can't use other ones. It's not something that is a must for me. But you're going to do better, or it's going to be more effective the more that's going to the homepage.
And of course, maybe some kind of keyword or related keyword in the domain name would be great.
Right.
All right, next up he says, I have dozens of keywords stuck on page 2. Is this a penalty, or do I need to hammer more link juice to the site? If you've got a bunch of stuff sitting on page 2, you probably don't have a penalty. It would really depend on the niche though, and how many pages there are of stuff that's ranking. It's really hard to answer a question like this without looking into it more. As far as what exactly you need to do, we'd need to look at it ourselves. But I mean, the answer is what you always need to do, which is, make sure your stuff is optimized correctly. You can use a tool to like Surfer to see if your content is optimized all right. Or you can just kind of do it yourself. Surfer just makes it all nice and easy. Make sure you've got like your keywords and variations correctly placed in places like your interpage URLs, your titles, your H tags, your meta descriptions, all that good stuff. And make sure you're not over optimized. Make sure you've got all the related keywords in there, that you're optimized for the keyword cluster, rather than just a specific keyword. It's Google's pulling in all this other information about keywords that are kind of related to your keyword that you might not actually be targeting, but it likes to see them in there. And then after that, it's links. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would say if he's on page 2, a lot of things are going to depend on whether this is a newer site, older site, whether it had page 1 rankings before, whether it dropped down. Chances are, if you're still on page 2, you're not penalized, right? So when we're talking about penalty, we're talking about Google penalties. it's going to drop you significantly in comparison.
Yeah, and unless page 2 is like the end of the SERP,
Sure.
the end of the pages for your SERP, yeah, but it's probably not. So I would be pretty surprised if you had a penalty and you're on page 2.
Yeah, most likely you're just a newer site. A lot of people call that, sandbox period. However, then you've got to take into account the competition factor in those SERPs that you're going after. So maybe you're just, slightly under the domains in reference to backlinks, how much content is indexed, etc. Right? You're asking about, do I need to hammer more link juice? Potentially, yeah, and I would say always be, sending link juice, but also always be working on your site in the form of content, etc. And then, things like social are going to be taken into account as well. So there's a lot of ways to beef up your network, and essentially that's what you're trying to do, especially if you're going after competitive SERPs. Or even some newer stuff. But I would say just, keep focused, keep on hammering things out, and, at some point in time, you will move forward.
Yeah, and another thing you can do is, I say this with pretty much everything, but it holds true for pretty much everything, is look at the sites that are doing well. Even look at the sites that are ranking at the bottom of page 1. How many links do they have? What types of links do they have? Like, how relevant are their links? And then compare your site to that. So, if you have like 500 backlinks and then the number 9 and 10, the bottom of page 1 only have like 50 backlinks or something, then you might say, okay, there's a problem here. There's something majorly wrong with what you've done. But, if you've got a lower backlink number than them, then that gives you a good idea of kind of what you need to work your way towards. But at the same time, try to do it better than them. Try to get more relevant links, better authority links, use your anchor text in a more efficient kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else to add to that?
No, that's good.
Cool. So this is kind of a follow-up to the same one. I've been on page 2 for a few months, got there using my own 30-site PBN. Should I expand the PBN?
Is that all you're doing?
Yeah, hopefully. So this could be the problem right here. The answer might be to stop expanding the PBN and to use more other types of links as well, like guest posts, niche edits. Make sure you're mixing in some white hat stuff as well, various kinds of pillow links like citations, directories, whatever. But yeah, if you're only using the 30-site PBN and you're stuck on page 2,
it has to do with link diversity.
Yeah.
We've got an article on that as well. It's going to help to diversify your link profiles. That's what's natural, when a site is actually getting press. What you're talking about is essentially, and we don't have all the information on this site, right? But if you're just using a 30 PBN, even if you've got, I would say, 50 other links going on that side, and then 30 are PBN, that's insane amounts of power coming directly from homepage links. It doesn't really quite look natural. You'd have to consider, what would it take for a website to naturally have that 50 naturally occurring diversified links and then 30 homepage contextual backlinks? Something's going to look fishy in there to Google's algorithm.
Yeah. And another follow-up
don't
to that,
expand.
He says, I'm a locksmith, hard to find niche relevant domains. Will strong general domains work? First PBN.
Yeah, sure. And remember that you can always take something and then kind of make it relevant to... When I first got started with PBN, I used to like taking general stuff because I wasn't as good as at fine-tuning my searches when building PBNs or collecting domains for this kind of stuff. So you take a general domain, let's say it was news-related, or let's say it was construction-related, right? So construction, it's got a bunch of backlinks about concrete pouring. You can kind of play with titles to mix and match both niches and create more relevance about one another. Remember, when we're gaming these systems, we're gaming a robot. It's not of AI intelligence at this point in time. It's not a bunch of humans going through everything, cataloging what's going on. This is a robot. It says, okay, I'm on, billsplumbing.com, and then the title is Bill's Plumbing and Locksmithing, the finest people in San Diego for opening doors and fixing toilets. To the average person, that's going to sound real funny. Now, a lot of people are going to complain if they see a PBN that's titled that way, but guess what? It's going to work, because we're not talking about sentient beings that are going, now that's weird that there's a plumber that also does locksmithing. We're just talking about, general stuff that falls under a similar category. It's not quite as niche down as maybe some people would like it to be, but it's still going to work for you.
So you can basically make the domain more niche down by optimizing the on-page on the home page, to make it more relevant. But at the same time, I would say to stay away from doing too much of that kind of thing. You don't want your whole backlink profile to be of, like you said, 30 PBNs with links that are just real general and nothing real niche specific, and you're just messing with the on page on each one. Might want to stay away from that.
I guess another thing too is, I don't know how you're finding these domains, right? So I don't know what you're doing, but for me, it's Register Compass and Spamzilla. And then you're going to have different criteria that you can search by. As you continually do it, you're going to get more and more used to creating these recipes that get you a bunch of domains. For something related to the locksmith, I would probably use keywords related to the locksmithing, or related to keys, or related to anything having to do with even doors. And that's going to push relevance. So you've got to think of everything as categories that can kind of robotically be constructed, and it would make sense to get stuff from. So maybe it's not quite a locksmith domain, but you find a domain that was a mom blog called heartandkey.com. Well, you'll be able to easily repurpose that to add a lot of niche relevance to your PBN, even if the backlink profile isn't completely dedicated to locks and keys, right? It's a mommy blog, whatever, but then that URL is going to transfer a lot of that power as well. So when we're building PBNs, also remember there's countless variables that you're putting in order to kind of make sense of what's being pushed out towards your domain.
I'll just add one more thing. When you're, if you do go the route of getting these more general domains for your PBN, I'll just say that you'll probably also, the farther away you get from, very relevant, so the more general you get, the farther away from your niche that you get, you'd like to see them be more powerful, right? So you don't want a bunch of like really weak general domains. Like if you're going to go the general domain route, I'd make sure they're a little bit more powerful.
Get some whoppers.
Yeah. All right, guys, I think that's about it for today. We went a bit over time, but that's good because we had a lot of questions and we got to answer a bunch of questions. So we're going to go ahead and call it there. Thanks for showing up. Happy New Year, all that good stuff. We'll be back. We're going to be doing this every week, every Wednesday at the same time. 12 noon, so we will see you next time.
12 noon Central U.S. time.
Yeah, 12 noon CST. And who knows, maybe we'll eventually start doing these more than once a week.
Yeah.
It really just depends on how many people we have turning up and how many people we have asking questions and stuff. I guess if we start getting to the point where we don't have time to answer all the questions, then I guess we'll have to start doing more.
And guys and gals, help us out a little bit. If you like what we're doing here, then help it resonate a little bit. Invite your friends, subscribe to our channels, and all that good stuff. It adds up for us, and it helps, kind of build this whole thing.
We need to get more on the self-promotion trend.
Yeah, we got to do a little self-promoting because I feel like
invite your friends to our group. Subscribe to our YouTube, like it, turn on the bell, all that good stuff.
Yeah, just give us some love. We accept Google reviews too.
But yeah, thanks guys. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys next week. And if you have any questions that you can always just leave your questions in the group. You don't have to necessarily wait for the live SEO support unless you want a more detailed answer, where it can really give you some time. But yeah, if you've got more questions, just drop them in the group, and we'll get to you whenever we get a chance.
See you next week.
Later.